Hey, 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 it's your girl Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Film Critic. Let me just make sure that my mic is on because sometimes I have shenanigans. Okay, it is. Oh my goodness, y'all. Today has been a very special day. There is a fire by my house, so I'm a little discombobulated. That's why I was like, did I turn my mic on? I don't remember. But anyway, I'm Carla Renata, your host. If this is your first time here, you have joined me at The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata, a podcast that talks all about film, and I interview those above and below the line. So if this is your first time here, click below to the notifications so that you can find out when I'm going live, when I have guests, when I don't, when I'm not going to be here, all that jazz. And if you are returning, welcome back. It's good to see you. I have so much to tell you about today. I have a lot of guests, so I won't talk too much. I have Lisa Cortez, Liz Garbus, and Miss Stacey Abrams, who are the producers and director, respectively, of All in the Fight for Democracy, which is going to air in theaters this September 9th, and it goes nationwide on Amazon Prime on September 18th. So I have interviews with all of those ladies. I also have interviews with the ladies from the new Helen Reddy biopic called I Am Woman. I have the director Unju Moon. I have Danielle and Tilda Cobham Hervey. I also have, who else do I have today? Oh, I also have the cast of Woke, is a new show that's going to be on Hulu. It stars Lamorne Morris, Blake Anderson, and T. Murph. So as we get underway, let me just talk a little bit about and I have some movie anniversaries with Psycho, Goodfellas, and what's the other one? Psycho, Goodfellas, and Sunset Boulevard. That's what it is. Sunset Boulevard. Okay. So all of that is happening today. So let me just get right on into it. I Am Woman is this film that centers around Helen Reddy. If you don't know who Helen Reddy is, Helen Reddy was a really popular Australian recording artist in the 70s. She was huge, and her big hit was called I Am Woman. And it became the national anthem, so to speak, for the ERA women's movement. But this film has a directorial debut by Unju Moon, who did a fantabulous job, I might add. And it stars Tilda Cobham Hervey, who also does a fantabulous job as Helen Reddy, and Danielle McDonald as her best friend Lillian. Now, what you don't know is that Lillian actually wrote the first encyclopedia for rock and roll. I was like, go ahead, Lillian, you go with your bad self. But I spoke to the ladies about Helen Reddy. I spoke to them about the Equality Act, which is part of what this film is about, and so many other things. So without further ado, here is my interview around the film I Am Woman with director Unju Moon, Tilda Cobham Hervey, and Danielle McDonald.
I love your name, the Curvy Critic.
I love my name too.
Yep.
But thank you for that, Anju. I appreciate it. I'm so excited to talk to y'all. I saw this at Toronto last year, and I was so incredibly, it was on my list of things to do because it was written and directed by a woman. It was starring women. Is honoring my girl Helen Reddy, who was all about the women's movement. And I know that, now Tilda, are you from Australia too?
Yes.
So I know that you and Danielle are both from Australia. How did it feel to be giving homage to a fellow Australian?
Very special. It's an incredible honor to step into her shoes and also to just learn more about her life. Going into this project, I of course knew the song and I knew a little bit about her, but it really one of the greatest joys of my life to really delve in and just learn about the details of her life and all the amazing things that she did and fought for and the incredible journey she had.
You did an amazing job. How about you, Danielle?
Same for me. It was honestly, I read the script and it got me. And at the end of the script, reading Lillian's notes to Helen at the very end, that really kind of just broke me a little. And I think I just wanted to know more. I can't believe I didn't know more. I didn't realize that Helen was Australian, which is, I'm really embarrassed to say, but I knew her song and I didn't have the context for it. So it was really incredible to kind of get that context and see where we were, see where we are now. Yeah.
Absolutely. Anju, you shot this in such a beautiful way. So thank you for that. It was so gorgeously shot. And you did it kind of like, it looked like it could actually take itself off the screen and be put onto a Broadway stage as a musical. Was that intentional to shoot it that way?
Um, well, first of all, I had an incredible partner to shoot this with, which is the cinematographer Dion Beebe, who I'm also married to, but he has done a lot of musicals, and we're both huge musical fans. So we had, even in the development of the script, when Emma and I were first working on the screenplay, we really approached it like a musical in some ways. We placed Helen's songs emotionally through the story, so that they really hit resonance at certain times. And yes, definitely, I think there is talk about taking it onto the stage, which is really exciting as well.
But how do you guys feel about the Equality Act being passed finally after all this time? Because when you shot your film, the liner notes at the end of the film said that the act still had not been passed. And since the film has been released at the festival, it has.
Well, it actually hasn't been passed into the Constitution. It hasn't been implemented into the Constitution. What has happened recently is that the Virginia, which was the last state to ratify the ERA, means that technically enough states have ratified the Equal Rights Amendment for it to be passed into the Constitution. But the problem now is that the statute of limitations is probably passed in order for that to become a reality. But it's fantastic to see that the Equal Rights Amendment has been picked up by a lot of people, and that there is a really big push to try and get it back on the table as a talking point, and hopefully it will become a part of the Constitution in America.
Not least, when was the first time y'all heard I Am Woman, and how did it make you feel? I'll start with Tilda first.
This is a really ridiculous story. The first time I heard it, my dad was singing it in the kitchen. That was the first time I heard it.
I don't ever remember not knowing that song. It was played at home as I was growing up. It was just something I always knew.
That I won't forget going to Las Vegas with her, where she did her final 2 shows, and just seeing the fans that had traveled from all over America, people who some of them have never missed a Helen Reddy concert in their life. And we all stood up in the audience and we sang along with her. It was really quite special.
So I love her and I love y'all. And I'm looking for really great things to come from all of you in the future. Thank you so, so very much for taking time out of your day to talk to me. I appreciate you.
It's so great to meet you, because I have been reading your columns. So it's wonderful to finally meet you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Now, I navigate through my life like nobody is watching. When Anju said that she had read my column and that she really appreciated the review that I wrote on I Am Woman, my face hurt so hard from smiling because I was genuinely touched and surprised. So thank you, Anju Moon, for that. And there is a longer portion of this interview. It will be up on my YouTube channel later on after this segment of the Curvy Critic ends. That interview, the full interview, which I think is about maybe 7 or 8 minutes, will show. I had to do a juncated version for the show because StreamYard only allows me to upload 5 minutes of an interview. So I gave y'all the best 5 minutes of the interview that I could find, but the full interview you can find at my YouTube channel. So thank you, ladies. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Anju. Thank you, Tilda. Great job as usual. And again. All right. So having said that, let's move to these movie-versaries. Now, these films, let me tell you what years that they are celebrating, because I love all 3 of these movies: Psycho, Goodfellas, and Sunset Boulevard. And they are all celebrating some extra special anniversaries this year. Let me just tell you. So Psycho is celebrating 60 years. Goodfellas is celebrating 30 years. And Sunset Boulevard is celebrating 70 years. And I have some fun little facts about all of them. So let's start with Psycho. I found out that Alfred Hitchcock kept hiding different versions of the the mama dummy, the mother dummy, Norman Bates's mother. He kept hiding different versions of him, of that dummy, in Janet Leigh's closet in her dressing room to kind of keep her on edge. I would say that would keep me on edge. I'm like, I'm such a scaredy cat that I probably would have passed out and had a nervous breakdown by now. I also found out that Norman Bates is loosely based on this really famous serial killer named Ed Gein. And he actually lived 40 miles away from the psycho author Robert Bloch. That's a little creepy. That shower scene, that infamous shower scene where Janet Leigh is getting stabbed within an inch of her life. I found out some really cool stats on that. Let me put it up so I can actually read it. I found out that shower scene was 3 minutes long, but it was shot from 77 different camera angles. I'm like, wow, 50 different cuts. So 50 different cuts and angles. Well, 50 different cuts, 77 different angles. And it took 7 days to shoot that bad boy. The Bates Hotel that's used in the movie is still standing. And if you are in California or coming here anytime soon, when the pandemic is over, if you go to Universal Studios, you will see the Bates house at Universal Studios. And last but not least, I found out that in the novel by Robert Bloch, Psycho, that in the novel, Marion, played by Janet Leigh, is actually beheaded in the novel, but Alfred Hitchcock changed it, I guess, probably for censor purposes, and had her get stabbed. So again, y'all, this is Psycho. It was directed by Alfred Hitchcock. It starred Janet Leigh. It starred Vera Miles as Janet Leigh's sister, and Anthony Perkins. Now, let me get to the next one. I just can't wait. Oh, I need a little headroom, don't I? Oh, and now you can see my mic, so it's all good. So let's get to the next one. Goodfellas. Goodfellas. Okay, for y'all that don't know, I am the last of the mafia heads. I love me a good mafia movie. I love watching mafia movies. It's like my secret obsession. So I've seen Goodfellas, I'm sure, at least 100 times or more, probably. Martin Scorsese directed it. It stars Joe Pesci. It stars Paul, I can't remember Paul's last name, but Robert De Niro, Ray Liotta. What is his name? I can't remember. Anyway, it's the fire child. I got my brain all burnt up. But in Goodfellas, they dropped the F-bomb 296 times. I had no idea that they cussed that much in that movie. I heard that Ray Liotta listened to Henry Hill, who is the character that he played. He listened to Henry Hill FBI wiretaps on his way to set every day. And that dinner scene with Tommy's mother, Tommy being played by Joe Pesci, that whole scene was improvised. You can kind of tell it was, because the lady that's playing his mom, she's cracking up and she's laughing and carrying on. Al Pacino actually had been courted to play the role of Jimmy, which is played by Robert De Niro. And he turned it down because he didn't want to be typecast. I'm just going to say that again. Al turned down the role of Jimmy in Goodfellas because he didn't want to be typecast. I'm just going to let that marinate and sit in your mind for a second. All right. I'm just saying. Being look, if anybody has had a wonderful career off of being typecast, it's been Al Pacino. So there's that. And then Sean Penn was actually considered to play the role of Henry Hill instead of Ray Liotta, which I think that's just pure comedy on so many different levels. Now, let's talk a little bit about Sunset Boulevard. Sunset Boulevard was directed by Billy Wilder. It starred Gloria Swanson and Bill Holden. And Gloria Swanson plays this over-the-hill actress who just can't get past her glory days of silent film now that we've gone into talkies. And she's kind of snapped a little bit. And she finds great affection for this young man who's being played by William Holden. He plays Joe Gillis, and Gloria Swanson plays Norma Desmond. Why couldn't I not remember that? Anyway, fun fact, Mae West was actually Billy Wilder's first choice to play Norma Desmond. That is bananas. I could not even see Mae West as Norma Desmond. I'm really struggling with Billy Wilder in that role. Also, this to Broadway, and it was a musical, but it took 40 years for Sunset Boulevard to get to Broadway. And thank goodness it did, because when it finally did hit Broadway, Glenn Close played the role of Norma Desmond, and she won a Tony Award, and it was very well deserved. Fun fact about that, I was on Broadway in a show called How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying at the time, which is back right there behind me, right there. And we did the Tony Awards. So the day of the Tony Awards, she was performing in her Norma Desmond get up. And I had my whole life, I had wanted to perform on the Tonys. And I'm standing there waiting for us to go on. And then Glenn Close comes and she talks to us. And we're standing there getting ready to go on for the Tonys. And she's dressed in her Norma Desmond outfit. And I'm like, this is so surreal. Like, it sounds like something somebody would make up, but it happened. It happened in real life. I think I need more light there. So yeah, so check out those films. If you haven't streamed them, if you haven't seen them in a while, check out Psycho, Goodfellas, and Sunset Boulevard. All right, let me tell you about this show that's on Hulu called Woke. I generally do not review TV shows because, as I have said numerous times, I am an actress in addition to being a film critic, and I recur as Janet on Superstore, which is going into season 6. So I feel like it is a big conflict of interest for me to review TV shows, but ain't no harm in me talking to people in the TV shows. I ain't got no problem talking to them now. So I caught up with Lamorne Morris, T. Murph, and Blake Anderson, who play Keith, Clovis, and Gunther and Woke. And Woke is this TV series that is dealing with this issue that we're dealing with right now, with Black men unjustly being harassed, being physically accosted, being shot, being beat up, just being misused and abused in society, most of the time for no apparent reason. And this is a show that addresses that through comedy. I know it sounds crazy, but I watched the show and it was really good. And they handle it very, very tastefully. And it was hella funny. I'm just saying, there's a character named Clovis. But anyway, here's my interview from the cast of Woke, Lamorne Morris, T. Murph, and Blake Anderson. Check it out.
Hey,
What's
Carla.
up, fam? Yes,
How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
We doing all right. We doing all right.
Let me tell y'all, I love this show because it gives such a fresh perspective on such a really serious subject through comedy.
Yes.
And I love all three of your characters. I love T that your character is named Clovis. That made me holler out loud. I love Blake that yours is Gunther. And I love
throwback
Lamorne that they
names.
call you Keith, not Keith.
Yeah.
Keith.
Yeah.
How do y'all feel about using Woke as an impetus through comedy to bring home a very serious subject that we're dealing with right now? It's right on time.
For me personally, I feel like it's perfect timing, but it's also unfortunate. You know what I mean? That we do live in this day and age. I like to say that sometimes with a show like this, you can drop it in any year and it will be relevant. And that's the part that's the most unfortunate. So with a show like this, with a comedy like this, it can really spark a conversation for people because they're laughing and they're being entertained, but at the same time, they're receiving something that can maybe affect the way they do business, affect the way that they may treat one another, or affect the way they interact with the person who works at the grocery store, from the person who works at the barbershop, and to understand different people's struggles on a regular day-to-day basis. So a show like this, I think, keeps the conversation going, although unfortunate, but I definitely think it's necessary.
You guys have anything to add to that? T. Murph and Blake?
No, I think Lamar.
Yeah, I think that was what kind of drew me to the project, is like it was a lot of issues that did need to be spoken about, and be out there for people to absorb. But the way that it was presented with talking trash cans and pens and comedy, it's just it's a good way to package it, to have people actually listen to it without feeling like, it's just a news source or whatever. So
Exactly. It's a new vehicle.
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts about this one scene, the scene where Clovis and Gunther are talking about all the different ways that Keith could get shot when he goes to have this beer summit with the cop, and he literally gets arrested for flicking beer, right?
Yeah.
And y'all, the most ridiculous thing that y'all came up with is he's eating his salad. He's taking a bite of his salad and he gets shot. It just goes to
with a
prove
gun
that there are such ridiculous things. So let's just talk about that one real quick. Let's talk about that one situation that happened just here in LA over the weekend, where these three sisters were jogging, and this Mexican woman, not somebody that's white now, but this Mexican woman called them Africans and was talking about how, you know, they were attacking her, and she filed a police report but didn't file charges. What do y'all feel about this consistently happening to us?
Well, you know, black people are always villainized. So people see us and they're more afraid of our skin than anything else. So when somebody does call the police with, you know, whatever random accusation, it's going to be believed before they even, you know, hear what the real situation is. So it's nothing new. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. And that's one of the reasons that a show like this is needed, because, you know, it's not that it's happening more now. It's just now that we have phones and cameras everywhere. So it's being recorded. So it's people are able to actually put it out there and see it. And you see how many people are just closet racist, because regardless of how many videos come out, they always say the same thing. Well, why does the video always start when somebody doing this? Because that's when you need to start the video, because they're being racist. It's not like, oh, let me see if this person gonna be racist. I ain't gonna waste my memory on my phone. No, I'm gonna use it when the racists are actually being racist. So, yeah.
I know that's right. Well, I appreciate y'all for being part of this project. I really enjoyed watching it. I'm hoping that everybody else, when it hits Hulu, will watch it and be informed and educated and entertained like I was. Good luck to every last one of you with your careers, and I'll be looking for great things from all of you moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As well.
Same
nice
to you.
To you.
All right, peace.
Thank you, Carla.
Peace, love, Soul Train Carla.
I can't believe T Murphy's like Love Soul Train. But anyway, check out Woke on Hulu. It is really quite refreshing to watch, and it will make you think. It will make you think about a lot of things. They take some very serious situations, put them in the most ridiculous circumstances you could possibly think of, and then go, oh, okay, that's what that looks like when that happens. T Murph, I mean Lamorne. Lamore's character is named Keith, and Keith has this thing called, not thing, but is a cartoonist. So Keith is a cartoonist, and he has this politically, racially charged cartoon that he draws called Toast and Butter. I'm just going to let that marinate in your mind for a minute. It's called Toast and Butter, and Toast and Butter got some issues. So check it out. It premieres on Hulu on September 9th. Now, I talked to y'all before about the DC fandom. Well, DC fandom is back again, y'all. It is back again. This time it's going to hit on September 12th. They are doing, Warner Brothers Television is teaming up with the Creative Coalition, and they're bringing the 1940s Superman radio show to the DC fandom, y'all. To the DC fandom. It's going to have a cast of today's biggest stars, and fans around the world, that means you, can join in beginning at 10 o'clock Pacific time. And this is going to happen for 24 hours only. It's a program that's available on demand, so you can access it all day long whenever you want, not just at 10 o'clock, but for 24 hours period. And you'll be able to, they'll be using the original scripts from the long-running radio serial that were recently unearthed by Warner Brothers Studio Vault. This rare, never-seen-before production will allow fans to experience the Man of Steel in a very unique way. So to find out what that is, go to dcfandom.com, and you can get all that information and check out that Superman radio serial that's going to go down on September 12th. Now, I went to the last DC fandom. I had the best time ever. I got to see my girl Wonder Woman. It was fantabulous. It was really, really great. So check it out, you guys, if you are so inclined. Also, I might want to let you know that there is a site called Comixology, Comixology. My good girlfriend Lonnie Love told me about this. If you are into comic books like moi and her, Comixology is allowing you to download for free all of the Black Panther comic books, and they're available through Amazon. So if you go to Comixology, I think it's COMIXOLOGY, Well, COMIXOLOGY. If you just type in Black Panther comics on Amazon, maybe it'll come up, because I'm not spelling it right, I don't think. But I got my life on. I got me about 27 comic books that I'm about to get to and read as soon as I finish this podcast. I'm so excited. Yay! Okay, now, last but not least, I want to talk about this documentary called All In: The Fight for Democracy. We all know we have an election that's coming up November. You know, the Mango Mussolini is in, Twitter thumbs are just raging, you know, with every second of the day. And if we value the democracy that we have right now, the freedom to speak, the freedom to choose, the freedom for so many different things, y'all have got to get out and vote. But what All In: The Fight for Democracy does, this documentary that is going to be in theaters on September 9th and streaming on Amazon Prime Video on September 19th. What it does is it breaks down how our democracy has been broken down throughout the decades here in America. It's produced by Stacey Abrams, Liz Garbus, and Lisa Cortez. And Lisa Cortez and Liz Garbus directed the doc. When I tell y'all, I was so enlightened. It goes into things like, it talks about polling and how the polling situation was broken down as part of the Voting Rights Act. And it very, very exclusively breaks down all of this information. If you thought 13th by Ava DuVernay opened your eyes, baby, you ain't seen nothing yet until you see All In: The Fight for Democracy. And my girl Stacey Abrams produced that. So I got two different interviews. The first one I'm gonna put up is the one with Liz Garbus and Lisa Cortez. These are the directors and producers of the documentary. And we talk about some things too. And I love when I asked Liz Garbus this question. I said, what do you think the clear and present danger is of re-electing the current administration? And I can't wait for y'all to hear how she circumvented and answered that question. But she answered it very lovely, and I was so happy to talk to her. So check out this interview with Liz Garbus and Lisa Cortez, All In: The Fight for Democracy. Hey, ladies, it's so wonderful to see y'all again.
So nice to see you.
Hey! So I know that both of you, because I'm familiar with both of your works, thank goodness. I know that both of you have a completely different trajectory, documentary-wise, than politics. Why All In: The Fight for Democracy? Lisa, you can go first.
Sorry about that, Carla. I'm in New York City and there were sirens in the background. Well, I think as filmmakers, we're always looking for necessary, urgent stories. This is a most important one personally for me as an African American, as someone who comes from a long line of folks who are fighting on the front lines for this most special right to vote. And so when there's the intersection of what you love to do and the ability to collaborate with a filmmaker like Liz Garbus, and to use our collective talents to present this film during this cycle, but it's also something that's quite evergreen, what we're talking about. You know, that's a great kismet for all of those things to align.
Liz.
Carla! Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. History has never been a straight line, right? So what do you think are the clear and present dangers of re-electing this administration?
Ooh, how much time do we have, Carla?
2 minutes.
Look, I mean, let's just talk. I mean, there are so many issues, right? But let's talk about what we're talking about, which is, you know, we're talking about the right to vote in this film, right? That is at the core of what it means to be in a democracy. Now, we know it's tortured. We know our past. Everybody knows about KKK violence against Black voters. Everybody knows about John Lewis crossing that bridge and taking blows. It has taken us a really long time to work on the franchise to have a more inclusive democracy. After the election of Barack Obama, a lot of that got pulled back. And here again, we find ourselves with a major, major assault on that sacred right. So just for that issue alone, protecting this democracy, protecting people to belong to it, to have their communities counted and represented. What does that mean? It means having healthcare. It means having clean water. It means getting PPE. You know, all of those things are at stake here, and our vote is the entry, is the gate to all of those other things. So one vote won't change everything. This election won't change everything that ails us, but it's the first step. It's a step towards creating a more inclusive America.
Well, I thank y'all so much for bringing this to light. There were two images that struck me to my core. The one where the flag got snatched out of the young little child's hand, and the images of Black men and Black people in general being lynched to vote. So I want to make sure that when people see this interview from the three of us, that they get nothing else than the fact that your vote matters, your vote counts, and we have got to get out and exercise that right to vote. Don't y'all agree?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yes.
Snap, snaps. All right. That is my time, ladies. I wish we had more time. I love y'all so much. I'll support you no matter what you do.
Thank you. I wish we were seeing you in Telluride or somewhere fun like that.
I know, right? Next time.
Right. Okay.
Bye-bye. I love Liz Garbus and Lisa Cortez and Anju Moon and any other female filmmaker that's out there. I love supporting women. You know, I'm so fortunate to be able to have a platform in which I can talk about films that are directed and produced and written by women and show them some love and lift them up. And so thank you, ladies, for giving me that time to do that. I love y'all. And we will see each other at the next film festival and be getting our cocktail on for sure. Now, last but not least, let me tell y'all something. I was so excited to talk to Stacey Abrams because I think she is a freaking superstar. She is a superstar. Y'all, she has been on the political landscape since she was 19 years old, speaking at the March on Washington 30th anniversary. And we just celebrated, I think, the 50th or the 60th anniversary. So that just goes to show you how long she's been on the landscape. But she is a smart cookie. She knows her stuff. I said something and she set me straight. And I was so glad that she did, because I'm not a political person. I have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to politics. I have a general idea, but I was grateful for the opportunity to speak to her, so that she not only is she gonna set me straight, but she gonna set y'all straight too. So here we go. My interview with All in the Fight for Democracy's producer and subject in the film, Miss Stacey Abrams. Good afternoon or morning or evening, Miss Stacey. How are you?
I am well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm great. I cannot complain. So listen, this is your first foray, I think, into producing, as opposed to being a political candidate and you know, on the hills and whatnot. How has that been for you thus far?
It's been an extraordinary opportunity to get to work with Liz and Lisa and Dan and Amazon to bring to life this notion of how do we tell the story of voter suppression, not as an act of fear, but as an activation of people to take their power back.
And, you know, throughout the doc, I was really appreciative of the fact that you guys brought light to the 13th, 14th, 15th, and 19th Amendments, right? What they mean, how they're broken down. Do you think that over time, given the way that we are living life in this moment, that those articles need to be amended or overhauled at some point?
It's not the challenge of the amendments, it's the administration of elections. Because the Constitution delegates to the states the authority to take a power and basically a power given to citizens in the Constitution, unfortunately, it's been delegated to the states to determine who gets to use that power. And so the real solution is, one, for people to understand what stands in their way. But secondly, it is to move our Congress and our next president to take action to ensure that no matter where you live, your access to democracy is whole and real and uncontroverted.
What do you hope that people are going to take away from All in the Fight for Democracy? Because I'm going to tell you what I took from it. There was a moment where you talked about, or someone talked about, watching their relatives go to vote. And I remember watching my great-grandfather put on his Sunday best, tuck his Bible under his arm, and walk for over an hour to the polling place and come back. So for me, this was everything. What do you want other people to take from it?
I want to meet people where they are, whether it's knowing the struggles for voter rights and understanding the arc of history, or entering the space brand new and not really understanding why it's so hard. You can't defeat an enemy you don't understand. And the goal of All In is to not only explain the enemy, but to demystify it and say, this isn't this cabal. This isn't just about some invisible people. They're real people, and you can vote to take them out of office. You can vote to diminish their ability to stop you. And you can't do that if you don't understand what they're doing to you. So understand that it's your right to register, your right to cast a ballot, and your right to have that ballot counted, and that there are tools available to make it easier for you to get that done. If you know that, if you know what the enemy looks like, we can defeat it together and we can protect our democracy.
And knowing what you know now, what does we the people mean for you?
We the people has always meant an obligation to stand together. I don't have to agree with you to believe in your right as a citizen to be heard, to participate in the governance that we all live with. My belief is that we the people is made stronger when we the people can participate. If I choose not to, that's my choice, but it should never be the right of the government to block me from using a constitutionally obligated and a constitutionally granted authority.
It has been my immense pleasure to talk to you, Stacey Abrams. I am so grateful that you exist. Thank you, thank you, thank you for taking time out of your day to speak to me. And I'm looking for many great things coming from you in the future.
Carla, this has been delightful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Y'all, Stacey Abrams said it was delightful to talk to me. I was so excited I couldn't see straight. I really was. I was a nervous wreck. But she said some really powerful things. The most powerful thing that she said is we have the right to change and we have the power to change this democracy. It is September 6th. I know it is Labor Day, but November 6th or November 3rd is when election day is. That means we have less than 60 days to get it together. I need for y'all to make sure you are registered to vote. Make sure that you have a mail-in vote. Do not put it in the mail. Walk your mail-in vote over to the polling place and drop it in the box to make sure it gets counted. We want to make sure that you get counted. If you have elderly relatives, make sure that your elderly relatives are able to get to a polling place, get a carpool together, everybody social distance in the car and get them there so that we can all vote. What she didn't tell you in that interview is that I remember her talking specifically about her grandmother being afraid to go and vote because she still had that ideology and that mindset of people getting sicked on by dogs and beat by billy clubs just for exercising their right to vote. So just know that there are some elderly people out there that still may have that ideology in their mind, and it's up to us to let them know, it's okay, it's safer now than it was before, and just get out there and do it. You can do it. So having said that, thank y'all so much for joining me for this episode of the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. Again, if this is your first time here, give me a big old thumbs up to let me know you were here and click that bell for notifications. If you are returning like Brandon and William, thank you so much for joining me again on another broadcast on a nice Sunday. And I'm hoping that this fire does not reach close to my house. It's looking orange outside. I don't like that when it's looking orange because that means it is closer than I want it to be. So y'all keep your fingers crossed and pray for me. And I will pray for you that you're all safe, sane, stay well, be well. And next week, I will be back with a preview interview with David Oyelowo, the star, writer, director, and producer of The Waterman, which is going to kick off the 2020 Toronto International Film Festival. And I'll give you a preview of the films that are playing there as well. So until the next time, love, peace, and hair grease, y'all. See you on the flip side. Bye.